Hello everyone, Michael Bretti here from Bretti Musical Instruments. I've got another really exciting new Ocarina batch announcement for this video. So without further delay, I'm pleased to give a first look and listen to batch number 3, which consists of my very first tenor inline ocarinas. So I'm particularly excited about this size because for myself personally, I've always loved the very rich, deeper tones of kind of deeper flutes, deeper ocarinas. Over a decade ago, when I purchased my first hind, for example, my first couple of hinds, one was an alto, but I saved up for a custom tenor sweet potato, and I really loved kind of the deeper tone of that. So fast forwarding now to my own developments with these ocarinas, I'm very excited to be able to have my own tenor sized offering. So this batch consists of 2 ocarinas. The prior 2 batches had 3 ocarinas. This one has 2 ocarinas just based on the woods that I had available. And every time it's going to be different. Again, these ocarinas are released in really small batches on a rotating basis. So different wood selections, different keys, different sizes and aspects of the ocarinas for each batch. So it keeps it kind of interesting and makes things a little bit more exciting to work on, exploring all these different combinations. Now, over the course of this video, I'm going to dive into kind of the background of these ocarinas, the physical features, some of the tone and the response of the ocarinas, go into some scales with both of them so you can actually hear both of them in action, talk about some of the nuances and quirks of them, and then finally close out the video with a song demonstration of one of these ocarinas in action. So for this batch, this consists of ocarina serial number 13 and 14. So again, like all of my high-end wooden inline ocarinas, these are 11-hole instruments. They are a full 19-note chromatic range. So this is actually an extended range inline ocarina, and that's actually quite unique and rare, especially for the larger size ocarinas. Typically, you're going to find tenors and basses might be a little bit more reduced in range, especially for inlines. I don't believe I've seen an extended range tenor or bass model type inline style ocarina before, so this is actually a little bit of a unique offering in that regard. So like all the other ones, we have the sub-hole here for dropping down a semitone. So for the case of these are E4, so it's going to drop you down to a E flat or a D sharp 4. And then you have the split hole in the bottom for getting that first accidental more easily. Again, we have the kind of modified teardrop shape that I've come to really enjoy for the inlines, and then of course the 2 thumb holes in the back. So for the finish, I'm keeping this the same as my prior batch. So we have the brush coated shellac on the inside for moisture protection. We have a beautiful French polished mouthpiece, and then I have the penetrating hardening oil varnish that I use for the body. And the way that I actually accomplish this is I mask off the mouthpiece first, I finish the body, then I mask off the body, I finish the mouthpiece, and that allows me to have a very hard protective very glossy, nice finish for the body while having a completely food safe and really nice finish for the mouthpiece, both blending nicely as nice glossy smooth finishes. So in terms of kind of breath curve and response to these, it's going to follow similar trends. So deeper ocarinas are going to be probably a little bit softer, a little bit more mellow, a little bit lower breath curve. These ones do follow a similar breath trend as my other ocarinas, so they're going to be starting out a little bit low breath pressure at the bottom end and rising up kind of gently to medium breath pressure at the top. They are pretty comfortable to play. They're not high breath ocarinas. They're not super low breath ocarinas with a flat breath curve. So there's kind of a nice naturally rising breath curve to them. Like my prior batch with the G sharp 4, which I'll get into a little bit later when I'm demonstrating the scales, you're going to want to pay attention playing the final 2 notes, maybe final 3 notes of the ocarina, just that if you underblow too much, you can get a little bit of a squeak. That is inherent to inline ocarinas, especially for extended range ocarinas. You don't have this underblown squeak really for transverse ocarinas. It's really very heavily amplified with the inline ocarina design. That can be mitigated, and I do a lot of work to mitigate that, but that still might be a little bit present depending on the texture and the voicing of the particular ocarina. So getting into one of my favorite aspects now is going to be the wood selection. This one has a little bit unique wood selection, and like every ocarina, there's a story behind it. So this ocarina actually has 5 woods on it. So the main wood, which is absolutely a beautiful, just absolutely gorgeous wood, I'm using fiddleback claro walnut. So you can immediately see just the unbelievable curl and richness in the grain. This was an absolutely beautiful piece of wood. This was from my personal stash that I have, my personal reserves. So I get a whole bunch of different woods that I set aside for different builds, for different shuns, different ocarinas that I kind of plan out to make for different sets. However, there are many times where I come across really special, really unique, really figured woods that I kind of set aside either for my own personal instruments or kind of for special builds. So I stumbled across this block of fiddleback claro walnut over a year ago from one of my favorite walnut suppliers, and I absolutely loved the look. It was perfect size for what I needed. Originally, that block was intended to make 2 bass shun. So I had cut the blocks. I was originally going to make the bass shun, and I started kind of working on the ocarina developments, and I thought, you know what, this would be a really amazing wood for an ocarina. So I decided to set it aside and use it to make 4 ocarinas. So I have 2 tenor ocarinas that use this, and 2 earlier batch alto ocarinas that also use this wood. I haven't shown those yet. Those are actually earlier ocarinas in serial numbers than these, but I've decided to take more time reworking them and getting the fine-tuning and the voicing down right before kind of revealing those. So again, this is a really, really unbelievable wood. It has a lot of beautiful figure, a lot of iridescence, absolutely fantastic for walnut. Next, you will see that there are actually colored bands here. So the darker lower band is wenge. It's a really nice, almost blackish, very dark brown, black wood with very dark brown streaks in it that I use for the first lamination. And then you can see there's a thinner bloodwood lamination over that, right under the fingerboard. So for my ocarinas, the body for the various sizes, all the bodies are 1 1/4 inch, and then the top plate is 1/4 inch. So that gives me a 1.5 inch thickness for every ocarina, regardless if it's the small A4 or the larger tenor E4. So sometimes, actually many times, the woods that I find aren't going to be necessarily the exact thickness I need. So what I can do is I can laminate multiple woods over the base to give kind of a decorative layer to build up kind of the thickness that I need, and it gives it a really nice, beautiful layering to it. You can kind of see a little bit more the layering going across the side. So I really love using wenge and bloodwood for accents. They go amazingly with really any type of wood, and I think the black and the red particularly provide a nice transition between the beautiful dark brown here and then the top wood. So transitioning now to the top wood, you can see that we have kind of a nice light, almost golden brown wood. This is actually beech. So originally I had purchased this board of beech, or a couple boards of beech, to do some earlier prototyping, but as soon as I saw the wood, I knew I had to use it for a production ocarina, and that was because it has this really nice heartwood sapwood split. And one thing I personally love myself in aesthetics for instrument making is a heartwood sapwood mix. I absolutely love that. I have a number of other ocarina woods I've set aside that have some really fantastic contrast. I've used that myself for other instruments. And I've always loved seeing other instruments out there, whether it's guitars, ukuleles, other flutes that have kind of that heartwood sapwood mix. So this is a little bit more subtle, but I designed the ocarina so that the grain was running vertically, so you would actually have that split. I could have made it so that way it just had a single solid color, but I thought this was going to be much more interesting, much more unique. Beeches are pretty kind of average typical wood, but what makes it unique is you kind of have this really nice split on this ocarina, so I think it gives it a little bit extra character and kind of pairs nicely with the really deep chocolatey iridescent color of the walnut. Finally, we have the standard aromatic cedar mouthpiece that's incorporated with all of my ocarinas. So this, again, is really for moisture control. These ocarinas won't clog under normal circumstances. If you go outside in a cold day and you play it, the warm breath and the cold air are going to mix and cause condensation pretty rapidly. It still won't clog that badly, but I wouldn't recommend that just because you can always risk cracking or damaging the instrument. That goes for saying with any fine woodwind, is you wouldn't want to play with warm breath in a cold environment. So that is kind of the overview of the woods. So this is number 13. So kind of giving a scale of what this sounds like. I'm just going to briefly go up and down the scale just so you can hear it. And you did hear a little bit of it in the beginning from the Bretti Musical Instruments kind of opening theme, but I'll play it here so you can hear the full range of the scale of the instrument. So this is number 13. So the one thing I really love about the tenor size, and especially these two ocarinas, is they are really smooth playing. They're a little bit more, a little bit less resistance or back pressure compared to the other ocarinas that I've made. So the A4 and the high texture G sharp 4 that I just released last month have higher back pressure. The tenors are going to have a little bit more open windway. It's going to be lower back pressure, kind of typical of what you would expect with kind of more standard ocarinas, but it has a really nice richness and smoothness to the tone and a lot of clarity. You're going to find that even though these are extending across the range up to 90 notes, which really is not done for this size of an inline that I'm aware of, I haven't seen it yet in the ocarina field, you're going to have a really clean tone at the top, and you're going to have a nice, rich, warm tone at the bottom. So this is also a really nice instrument if you want something that's not very loud. None of my ocarinas are particularly very loud instruments, you can push them, but you can play them also very comfortably in a closed room or closed environment, and especially with the rich warmth of the tenor. It's a very nice indoor ocarina, as well as if you want to play it outdoors as well. So just to kind of show and demonstrate improper technique, again, I demonstrated this in the prior G sharp 4 batch announcement, but I'll demonstrate it here for this one. If you underblow the ocarina at the top end, you're going to get a little bit of a squeak, kind of like this. So you're going to want to make sure that you breathe into the ocarina correctly. You are playing at the proper volume, at the proper breath curve, and you'll get a nice clear, really nice clear open tone for the ocarina. So now let's take a look at number 14. So I'm going to just go over the woods again and then give a demonstration of the tone. So again, really just unbelievable figuring in the fiddleback claro walnut. It's just absolutely amazing look to this wood. So it's going to be a very special ocarina. I know there's a lot of walnut ocarinas out there already, but they don't really tap into kind of the figured woods that I really prefer to do myself. And walnut has unbelievable figure, especially for domestic American hardwoods. It has some incredible figure. Same thing with maple. So this is definitely a very unique walnut-based ocarina. Next, you have again the wenge and the bloodwood stripe, and then the beautiful heartwood sapwood split beech top. Gives it a unique look, a different feel, and then the aromatic cedar mouthpiece. So kind of comparing the grain of these two ocarinas, you can see they both have the same level of curl, same level of iridescence, some beautiful dark veining down, streaking down through the grain of the walnut. So really nice look and feel for the ocarina. Despite this being a tenor, I do want to also mention that it is pretty light. Wooden ocarinas in general are quite a bit lighter than, or can be quite a bit lighter than their clay counterparts. And especially for the walnut and for the beech combination, these are more on the kind of the softer scale of woods that I use. Sometimes I use extremely hard, extremely dense wood. Sometimes I'll use much softer woods. So this actually plays very nicely into the tenor sound profile. Is you already kind of have that rich warmth of the tenor size, further amplified by a little bit softer, warmer toned wood. So it's going to give you a really nice, warm, rich tone. Now, the response to this one is just subtly different. Between batches, I like to try to match the tone and the responsive breath curve as much as I can. And since these are all handmade and hand adjusted, there's always going to be some small variations. And that's one thing that I really like doing for these videos, is explain to people kind of the subtle nuances between every single ocarina that I make. And I don't believe there's really other ocarina makers out there who get into this level of detail for every single ocarina they release, just because a lot of times things are made in larger batches. But by focusing in really small, select specialty batches, I can demonstrate some of the subtleties between the different instruments, even within the batch. Now they play both similarly. Both play absolutely beautifully with a beautiful clear tone. This one I would say is slightly more textured. So it has just a hint of a little bit more overtones. This one maybe is a little bit more open, warm, where this one has a little bit more crispness. They both are beautiful instruments. They both play exactly the same, but just a little bit subtlety and difference in the timbre of between each of these instruments. So kind of demonstrating again, going up and down the scale for number 14. So again, still really clear, clean, beautiful, warm tone. Slightly, just barely slightly, a little bit more back pressure to it, just slightly more texture, but they both play equally nicely. I both playing, love playing. I love playing both of them, and honestly, it's going to be kind of sad to let these go. And I've been finding as a really small scale specialty batch ocarina maker that one of the hard parts of this effort is letting go of these instruments, especially for something like this where this is wood taken from my personal private collection that I've had saved up, that I was originally intending to use for my own personal instruments. You get attached to these instruments. I spend so much time, so many hours, just dozens of hours voicing these, fine tuning these, even from the initial design. Figuring out where along the board I want the grain to be laid out, kind of shaping these, even picking. There's so many woods I could have picked, so I decided on this lamination because I kind of like the combination of colors and wood. So everything that goes into these really is kind of an extension of my aesthetics and what I enjoy personally working with these instruments, woods. So it is going to be sad to let these ones and other ones go because I become very familiar with them. I know the response of these inside and out, voicing them, and then finally playing them, going from just a pile of just wood to a fully functioning, beautifully voiced instrument. It's a long journey, and it's a big journey for every single ocarina. So it's hard to let these go, but I'm sure they will find very good homes, and I'm excited to hear what music people will make with these ocarinas when they're out there. So to kind of wrap this video up, I'm going to be just giving a brief demonstration like I do for every video of the ocarinas in a more musical context. So for this ocarina, I'm going to be playing Lugia's theme from the Pokemon movie. So please enjoy this rendition of Lugia's theme. So this wraps up this unveiling of this new batch of ocarinas. Again, this is batch number 3 with 2 of my first E4 tenor ocarinas made from fiddleback claro walnuts. wenge, bubinga, two-toned beech, and aromatic cedar. One final thing that I do want to just briefly mention about these ocarinas, I completely forgot in the prior segment. I do find that these two play the most optimally at about maybe 15, maybe a little bit higher, 30 cents sharp of E4. That's just my preference in terms of the breath curve, pushing it a little bit more. Again, the ocarinas that I make, it's better to push them harder than underblow them, so you get kind of the nice clear tone across the range. So that's just my preference for these ocarinas. You can play them at tune, but I do find that just based on the voicing and the tuning of these do respond better for how I feel with a comfortable breath curve, playing them a little bit harder, a little bit sharp of the E4. So with that, I hope you enjoy this video and kind of following along with the journey of these ocarinas. And for those of you who actually end up getting these two ocarinas, I hope you enjoy playing them as much as I have, both making them and playing them myself. If you like this development and would like to follow along more, you can follow along here on the Bretti Musical Instruments YouTube page, as well as Bretti Musical Instruments Instagram, where I show kind of all the different woods that I'm working on, new sets of woods, different aspects of the build, different builds in progress, so you can kind of get a little bit of a sneak peek of what's to come. I also post on the Bretti Musical Instruments Facebook page, as well as the Ocarina Network and Global Ocarina Community and Reddit. Ocarina Reddit and Facebook pages. So with that, feel free to leave a comment or directly reach out to me in my email in the info below. So thanks again for watching, and I'll see you next time.